The Heavenly Demon. Can't Live a Normal Life. By Sanchin. Chapter 303. The Three Guests. Part 1. According to rumors, Hoffman was the epitome of greed. When people described the president of Golden Bank, they imagined him as an unsatiable pig with a big fat belly, a double chin covered with grease, and a messy beard, an avaricious beast who would do anything to earn money. However, the reality was different. A handsome, neat middle-aged man gazed up at Roman Dmitri as he raised his round glasses. I won't lie. I was genuinely surprised by what Dmitri recently accomplished. Not even Valhalla, the proud warrior state, would want to confront Kronos head-on, yet Dmitri faced Kronos in a war and won its war reparations. And the way you organized your swordsmanship demonstration conference, I was beyond compelled. To be honest, Golden Bank isn't too fond of bucking the trend, but recognizing Dmitri's potential, we chose to invest in you, said Hoffman, taking a sip from his teacup. Golden Bank was indeed quick-witted. It had already finished its calculations amidst the rapidly changing dynamics on the continent. And after days of discussion, its staff reached a conclusion. We concluded that Dmitri will become a nation that can equally match Kronos and Valhalla. We don't doubt your success, Lord Roman, but don't you think you can make the process easier with a reliable sponsor like us, Golden Bank? That is why I requested to meet you. Golden Bank desires to establish a cooperative relationship with Dmitri. If Dmitri desires to build a future with Golden Bank, we will provide all financial needs that you request from us, the bank president continued. His words were filled with confidence. After all, Golden Bank was the symbol of wealth. According to the reports, it was said that they had built wealth beyond imagination over generations, to the extent that an ocean of gold was piled up in its vault. It was a proposal no one could refuse. Plus, considering how Dmitri had fought several wars recently and used a large amount of its budget to help Redford and pay the death gratuity, this was the perfect chance for Roman to restore Dmitri's pocket. Golden Bank had come at a time when Dmitri needed the money the most. It assessed the dukedom's recent accomplishments highly. Golden Bank doesn't ask much from Dmitri. As long as Dmitri promises to build a future with us, we can immediately lend 1 million gold immediately without any interest. It's quite tempting, isn't it? We are willing to give you an amount no kingdoms can dare imagine out of pure courtesy, Hoffman added. As Hoffman stated, it was indeed a tempting proposal. The conditions were clearly favorable for Dmitri. Roman could instantly gain 1 million gold as soon as he shook Hoffman's hand with a smile. However, Roman's response differed from what the Golden Bank president expected. So, you're telling me Golden Bank intends to walk on a tightrope between Kronos and Dmitri and invest on both sides to see who wins, right? The atmosphere instantly turned cold. Roman boldly continued even as Hoffman's face turned stiff. Golden Bank has established amicable ties with Kronos. And I know for certain that the two of you didn't simply establish a reciprocal relationship. I'm aware that you directly interfered in the recent incident regarding Redford Kingdom to support the Empire. Since you are the bank's president, the plan must have come from your head, Hoffman. Do you think you would have come to request my cooperation if Redford had fallen back then, failing to pay its debt? Asked Roman. He raised a sensitive matter. After all, both Kronos and Golden Bank were responsible for the riot caused in Redford Kingdom. Their scheme back then was undoubtedly inhumane. Not only did the Empire murder the king's children, but it also threatened the king to live a voluptuous life, taking his one and only prince's life as hostage. As a result, the kingdom fell into a vicious cycle as its king wasted his life in luxury, sexual pleasure, and gambling. Redford wouldn't have suffered such a tragic ending if it weren't for Golden Bank. The bank seduced the king after lending a massive amount of money without collateral, only to push him off the edge of a cliff. If it weren't for Roman, the kingdom would have inevitably collapsed, and the coalition would have been lost. In the end, Kronos and Golden Bank were on the same boat. Hoffman tried to hide his sore emotions, putting up a smile at Roman's condemnation. Of course, I wouldn't be here if we had succeeded in destroying Redford Kingdom. We all know that the coalition's fall would have led to the rise of Kronos. However, I must express my disappointment. After all, I came here to see you not to discuss the past but to agree on a future we will build together. The past is the past. Let's leave Redford out of our discussion. What matters is that currently, we are sitting here together and that there are so many ways we can mutually benefit each other, replied Hoffman. He didn't bother to hide the secret. He was quite blunt despite his past misdeeds. Golden Bank was influential enough to leave the disturbing past behind. Just focus on the future. As I've said, Golden Bank can promise to provide 1 million gold as long as you vow to keep us in the good books, regardless of what happened between us in the past. Let's not hold any grudge against each other like some immature children. We're way too old to hold a grudge against someone for slapping our face a few years ago, don't you agree? Let's behave like civilized gentlemen. I'm certain we will be able to develop a wonderful relationship moving forward, Huffman continued. He wasn't stating sugar-coated words to win Roman's heart simply. Golden Bank was here to establish a practical relationship with Dmitri that could mutually benefit both parties. As the president of Golden Bank, Hoffman was experienced in handling and persuading powerful men like Roman. But to his dismay, Roman was out of the ordinary. Practical interest was never his priority. Instead, one thing got on his nerves. Unfortunately, we can't establish amicable ties. I intend to destroy Kronos. And I know for certain that you will never give up your ties with the Empire. You're not here to build a future with Dmitri. Instead, you are here to invest 1 million gold as insurance just in case Kronos fails its conquest. Let me be clear, Hoffman. Dmitri never compromises with those who have been hostile against us, even once, Roman firmly stated. A radical response will get us nowhere. Just look at the history of Salamander. Those who have ruled the continent have always kept close ties with Golden Bank. Our bank is a neutral force and a kingmaker. So why ruin everything if you can gain tremendous benefits with just one word of agreement? My relationship with you and your bank is none of my business, Roman replied with a fierce glare. He had a clear standard in distinguishing between foe and ally. The bridge between Golden Bank and Dmitri had already been burned down to ashes when the bank chose to support Kronos actively and when Dmitri accepted Redford as its ally. Dmitri had a clear disposition. Roman refused to compromise with his enemies even if it meant losing a large amount of benefits. That wasn't how Roman desired to reach the apex of all powers. His way of taking care of business was by trouncing his opponents, crushing them the stronger they were so that no one could dare ever question his authority in the future. There was no such thing as a compromise against Dmitri. The only option its enemies had was to surrender, nothing else. If enemies desired negotiations, they had to come prepared to strip their powers to receive Dmitri's mercy. I never liked you and your arrogant Golden Bank in the first place. Roman's cold and menacing voice echoed into Hoffman's ears. The president of the bank was at a loss for words. With a flushed face almost about to explode, Hoffman sprung up from his seat and growled. Don't you ever forget today. You will regret your words because Golden Bank never forgets those who dared to threaten us. Turn. Hoffman turned around and approached the exit. An intimidating voice froze him when he was about to yank the door open. Hold on a second. Roman Dmitri glared at Hoffman with murderous intent. You must be misunderstanding something. Do you really think you can leave Dmitri alive after what you just said to me? Hoffman didn't know what to say. He was utterly stunned by Roman's threat. The murderous intent reflecting over the young Dmitri's fierce glare froze his body. The president of Golden Bank struggled even to open his mouth as he replied with trembling eyes. Are you saying that you're going to kill me? Lord Roman Dmitri, no, Roman Dmitri, it seems like you've forgotten, but I'm the president of Golden Bank. Are you aware of the circumstances you will face if you kill me? This isn't a matter of killing one man. The moment you slice my throat, Golden Bank will use all its means to destroy Dmitri. And when I say all means, that implies not only our wealth, but all the connections built from it. They, too, will be forced to assist us in directly destroying your dukedom, Hoffman warned. Hoffman meant the words he said. After all, Golden Bank was involved in every single financial sector of every kingdom and empire, including private loans. Above all, what would happen to Dmitri if Golden Bank persuaded the people engaged in business with the dukedom to cut off its ties? The iron ores of Dmitri would become nothing more than worthless rocks regardless of their excellent quality if the market refused to buy them. Dmitri would eventually go bankrupt. Not even the wealthiest kingdom, like Dmitri, would be able to survive if its market collapsed. However, Roman seemed rather relaxed at Hoffman's threat. He gazed up at Hoffman and smiled, crossing his legs. "Why do you think I established the coalition between the kingdoms?" Roman asked. "What are you trying to say?" Hoffman replied. "I formed the coalition with the kingdoms to resist Kronos when I declared war against it. It wasn't just to establish a mere safety net for the weak states but to prepare for possible future Golden Bank schemes. I understand that your threats can truly affect Dmitri's business. You may indeed destroy our market. However, we will restore everything back to where it stands with our ties with the kingdoms. There may be hardships at first, but you won't succeed in completely eradicating us. And once we fill that gap of yours, Golden Bank's reputation will no longer be the same," said Roman. Roman saw the bigger picture. He had already finished calculating how things would turn out depending on his decisions. "So let me ask you again, Hoffman. Do you think I should have any particular reason to let you leave Dmitri safe and sound?" "But," he stuttered to reply. Roman was far more reckless and ruthless than he had anticipated. Hoffman knew he had to choose his words wisely. One mistake could lead him to his death. It turned out Roman's infamous reputation wasn't false after all. He was indeed the demon of the battlefield. Just like how Hoffman was described as the epitome of avarice, there was no lie in Roman's malice. "I've made a grave mistake." Hoffman bowed before Roman. He had no better choice. Living his entire life as the top dog, Hoffman never expected a moment like this. Not even Golden Bank's reputation could save him from Roman's threat. "Let me propose this time. You can buy your life for 1 million gold. If Golden Bank possesses that much money, save yourself from death by agreeing to my proposal. What do you say?" "I think this is quite a reasonable proposal in exchange for suppressing my wrath," said Roman. 1 million gold? That's nonsense. That's not for you to decide. After all, you're no average man. It's a reasonable price for a ransom of the president of Golden Bank, replied Roman. Roman's words crossed the line. Hoffman's face flushed red as if it was almost about to explode. However, when his eyes matched Roman's, he had to suppress his anger, clenching his teeth. Hoffman finally realized that he was standing in the middle of enemy territory. He had stepped into Dmitri without thinking this. To his dismay, he couldn't have a thing his way. Eventually, he had to submit. "I accept your proposal." Hoffman left Dmitri. The agreement just now was not only reckless but had crossed the line. Roman knew the deal would burn the bridges between Dmitri and Golden Bank. Nonetheless, he seemed indifferent. If there were more benefits in killing Hoffman, he wouldn't have allowed the president of Golden Bank to leave the castle alive in the first place. Golden Bank is like a parasite that eats off from others' powers. A compromise with such a filthy organization would only ruin me and Dmitri. Roman knew Dmitri would have to eventually rule out Golden Bank's cooperation from its business one day. Predicting that the bank would use every measure to obstruct Dmitri's development, he intended to establish an independent economic system to help Dmitri self-sustain. So he formed the coalition. Even if Dmitri were to lose beneficial clients like Kronos and Valhalla, it could always fill their gap with other kingdoms' help. Of course, it would be impossible to bridge the gap perfectly. However, Roman had already learned from his previous life that he couldn't win in everything. Some costs had to be paid the moment he decided to war. Golden Bank is known for taking its words more precious than its own life. Thus, Hoffman will most likely pay the 1 million gold for the sake of his pride. After all, he must have already prepared the money before coming to Dmitri to negotiate. I can use the gold to respond to Golden Bank's sabotage efforts and buy enough time. And by the time I use all of the 1 million gold, Dmitri and the coalition of the kingdoms will establish an environment where we can self-sustain ourselves without the help of the empires. Roman planned to upend the situation on the continent. He knew it was the perfect opportunity to turn everything in favor of Dmitri after agreeing on a ceasefire with Kronos. One step after another, he established the foundation to turn Dmitri into an empire. Every single decision he made, from the swordsmanship demonstration to the establishment of the coalition, was perfectly entangled with each other to help him take another step closer to his ultimate goal. A few hours after Hoffman left Dmitri, the second guest came to see Roman. "Lord Roman, Prince Edwin Hector requests to meet you," the servant said. Roman seemed a bit surprised by Edwin Hector's unexpected visit. After seeing Roman for the last time at the coalition meeting, Edwin Hector came to see Roman with a strangely determined look. "Can you tell me more about the upper core you mentioned during the demonstration?" The prince went straight to his point as soon as he entered Roman's room. Chapter 304. The Three Guests. Part 2. The Star of Hector and the Prodigy Mage. These were a few of many titles that were used to refer to Edwin Hector and his exceptional life. Not once did the prince doubt himself or his success until he encountered Roman Dmitri on the south battlefield a few years back. Roman was like a vast wall before the prince. It was the first time Edwin felt his pride shattered and crushed. It was the first time Edwin felt helpless, unable to do a thing even after realizing the cause of his kingdom's long famine. Nonetheless, Edwin Hector refused to cave in. He relentlessly pushed himself to the limits as he decided to train at Chonggong's Mage Tower and formed an alliance with Roman. He gave his very best every moment of his life. But again, he experienced a moment where his last remaining pride was shattered. To his surprise, Kronos had mobilized a level 8 circle mage in its war against Dmitri. "No matter how hard I train myself, not even decades of training can make me strong enough to face a level 8 circle mage. This is the bitter truth. Kronos, the enemy I want to destroy, is that powerful, a true monster indeed. And Roman Dmitri, the man I so desperately fought against on the south battlefield, has enhanced his power to the point I can no longer even hope to catch up." It just didn't make any sense. The master of the Chonggong's Mage Tower had undoubtedly praised Edwin Hector as the genius of the century. But reality was much different than what the prince had anticipated. When he finally stepped into the real world, the sky was filled with monsters he couldn't even dare challenge. Roman Dmitri, the man who trounced him, and Kronos, Hector's archrival, were already in a realm far beyond his reach. So, Edwin Hector gritted his teeth in desperation. Aside from the time he needed for his political activities, he invested every bit of his time in his training to improve his magic. Then came the day when Edwin Hector witnessed the startling sight, the day of Roman Dmitri's swordsmanship demonstration. And there, the Prince of Hector found the future of magic in what the people described as the revolution of swordsmanship. During the demonstration, Roman Dmitri referred to the brain as the upper core. Mages establish the circle in our hearts, the middle core, and knights use the lower core to store their aura. In other words, it implies that we can also develop and use our upper core. If I can somehow learn the secret to using the upper core, I'm certain it will stir a revolution in the magic industry. The mechanism of manifesting magic was complicated and yet simple at the same time. First, mages had to learn how to create a circle in their hearts. Then, the circle would enable them to synchronize their mana with nature, ultimately empowering them to control a force as destructive as a natural disaster. However, the circle wasn't the sole condition to become a mage. An exceptionally developed brain was another requirement. While the circle served as the passageway to control one's mana, the brain was what assimilated the excessive amount of information and the flow of mana. Thus, the circle and the brain had to be highly developed to cast high-level circle magic. That was why the higher the circle, the mages needed to develop their brains and hearts. This also explained why most mages were called prodigies in their respective regions. Intelligence was directly correlated with magical competence. So, Edwin Hector diverged his thoughts and developed a novel theory. If Roman's approach could also be applied to enhance one's upper core, then it also implied that one could improve one's intelligence through training. Edwin knew his theory sounded absurd and somewhat ludicrous. After all, if his theory were true, it meant a level 3 circle mage could possibly cast a level 5 circle magic. In other words, a mage could technically enhance one's power strong enough to overwhelm equal-level mages. Plus, it wouldn't only mean that the mage's power would be enhanced, but it also meant he could dramatically increase the speed of processing the mana stored inside his body. Edwin Hector thought over the theory long in his mind before making up his mind. He knew he needed a formidable force mighty enough to defeat monsters like Sulfur to get his revenge on Kronos in the future. Eventually, the prince finally decided and headed to Dimitri, putting his petty pride behind him. His determination to improve his powers couldn't be hindered. Edwin Hector arrived in Dimitri around noon when the sun was high up in the sky after Hoffman's departure. Roman didn't expect Edwin Hector to bring up the upper core in their conversation. The prince did catch him off guard. Nonetheless, the young Dimitri didn't seem startled even for a second. Instead, he calmly gazed back at the prince and replied, "Dimitri and Hector are now on the same boat as allies of the coalition. However, that isn't enough for me to share the details about the upper core with you." "Why must I do such a thing simply out of courtesy?" he asked. Edwin's eyes subtly sparkled at Roman's words. Though it wasn't the friendly response he expected, it undoubtedly sounded like Roman had information regarding the upper core. The Prince of Hector refused to miss the opportunity. So, he immediately relayed his thoughts. "I agree that my request may sound rash. I understand that you have shared the concept of the core with the people through your demonstration and that my request to share your information would only force you to make a one-sided sacrifice. I won't beat around the bushes. I'm confident the upper core will revolutionize the magic on this continent. I promise Hector will transparently share every step of the process and the result if Dimitri agrees to share its information with us. I will do my best so Dimitri can share the credit and realize the same accomplishments as Hector," said Edwin. He openly expressed his honest opinion. Now, it was up to Roman to decide. Edwin had come prepared, knowing he could ruin his ties with Dimitri with his absurd request. After all, Dimitri was the one wearing the pants in the alliance. Also, this is strictly confidential. But the Chonggong Magic Tower is preparing to move to Hector Kingdom secretly. I'm not saying this to buy your trust. However, I can promise that Hector and our new magic tower will do our best to uncover the secrets of the upper core and bring you a meaningful result. In our recent war against Kronos, the Empire proved it possessed a magical force far exceeding our imagination, Roman Dimitri. Thus, I believe our coalition needs to develop a force powerful enough to counter against them. Hector and Chonggong will become that force for you," he continued. The world was changing. Kronos no longer hid its wicked ambition. The Chonggong Magic Tower felt threatened, realizing the Empire had close ties with black magic. It couldn't trust or depend on the Empire any further. And the news of its relocation was undoubtedly good news for Dimitri. Dimitri already has Phoenix. Are you saying Dimitri won't be able to solve the secrets of the upper core with them alone? Roman asked. No, don't get me wrong. I agree that Phoenix is now one of the most competent magic towers on the continent. However, we are running out of time. Our ceasefire agreement with Kronos is no more than just a piece of paper. I wouldn't be surprised if they re-engaged in their hostile activities even now. That is why we must unite our strengths and quickly achieve results. I promise to allow Phoenix to participate in our research. I'm not doing this to reap the results and take them for my own sake. I want to combine our efforts and bring a meaningful result, Edwin answered. Roman smiled as he listened. Edwin was right. And his honesty was enough to convince Roman. In the end, the prince had no better choice but to reveal his honest thoughts to persuade Roman, who obviously had the upper hand. Follow me. I have something to show you, Roman said as he got up from his seat. Edwin followed Roman to the Phoenix Magic Tower. Surprised by Roman's unexpected visit, the mages hurriedly lined up before their lord. What brings you here, Lord Roman? It was Felix. He seemed puzzled after finding Edwin standing next to the young lord. I'm here to use the magic training grounds. Prepare the area and bring Nox. Yes, my lord. No particular explanation was needed. The mages instantly moved to the training grounds and prepared everything as requested. Roman's words were absolute, and no one, including Felix, questioned the young lord's command. To the mages of Phoenix, Roman was like a god since he was the person who helped restore their magic tower after they left Frank Kingdom. The preparations were made at a breakneck speed. Roman and Edwin followed Felix to the magic training grounds where Nox was waiting. Nox, come forth. Yes, Lord Roman. Nox stepped forward. Roman turned to Edwin, who still couldn't grasp the situation. According to rumors, I heard you have reached enlightenment and obtained a level 5 circle after joining the Chonggong Magic Tower. Nox is also a level 5 circle mage like you, Prince Edwin. If you can win against my mage in a magic duel, I promise to provide all the information I have regarding the upper core for free, Roman proposed. Edwin seemed confused. He couldn't quite understand his intention. But one thing was certain. He had to accept the proposal in order to obtain the secrets behind the upper core. I accept your proposal, he replied. Edwin Hector decided to achieve his purpose with his very own hands. Edwin stood on the training grounds and stared back at his opponent. The success of the initial attack was crucial in a duel between two mages of the same level. It would be hard for my opponent to overturn this situation once I seize the upper hand in this battle since we are at the same level. Thus, my strategy is to cast a swift attack to prevent the opponent from manifesting his magic and seize the momentum with my follow-up. Edwin made a rational strategy to win this duel. Among the various weaknesses of magic, the stronger the magic attack, the more complicated the process was to cast. In other words, mages barely had the time to launch their attacks in a one-on-one duel. That was also why most war mages weren't high-level circle mages. Instead, they were the type to efficiently and swiftly cast their attacks by using low-level circle magics. And Edwin was also used to such battle tactics after experiencing countless wars. The prince's circle began to vibrate inside his body. As he continued to stare down his opponent with a sharp gaze, Roman gave the signal. Begin. Lightning arrow. Zap. Edwin took the initiative. While using a level 1 circle magic that didn't require any casting process, he simultaneously increased his attack's destructive power by synchronizing it with Aqua Arrow. The magic attack, combined with the elements of water and electricity, struck Nox. As soon as his attack landed on his opponent, Edwin immediately prepared his follow-up attack, expanding the circle. He was fast. However, fire cannon. Whoosh. Rumble. Edwin watched the stunning sight in shock as fierce flames devoured the training grounds. The fact that his opponent manifested a level 5 circle magic without any particular process meant he must have used Memorize to skip the process. The prince was quite surprised since the two had agreed to use Memorize only once during the duel. He didn't think Nox would use his only chance from the start to seize the upper ground. Believing this was his chance, Edwin cast another spell to easily block the fire without using Memorize. Stone Wall. Croar. The elemental magic didn't require a particular process to form a stone wall around him. Unlike intangible magic spells, like firewalls, which needed at least level 4 circle magic, stone wall was simple magic without complex procedures. But the wall wasn't sturdy enough to completely stop the flames. So, Edwin used the walls as a stepping stone to throw his body in midair. Jump. The crowds were stunned. Instead of facing the fire head-on, Edwin thought outside the box and escaped the deadly flames easily. Nox's attack failed to take down its opponent. Blast. Rumble. The flames exploded. Though the fire incinerated Edwin's stone wall, the prince didn't miss his chance. Thunder Cannon. VMM. Zap. Edwin had fought against monsters like Roman Dmitri countless times on the battlefield. He had mastered the war mage's tactics, knowing that sheer magic force couldn't help him survive in the brutal battles. However, it didn't mean his tactic was perfect. There were certain risks. A moment of hesitation could leave his body vulnerable to Nox's deadly attacks. But Edwin wasn't a fool who would miss his chance to counter back now that Nox could no longer use memorize. He made a bold decision to rush forward. The level of the circle was crucial in a battle between mages. Since Nox had already used his memorize, it seemed impossible for him to dodge Edwin's thunder cannon, a level 5 circle magic. The only option left for the Mage of Phoenix was to use Blink to teleport his body away. But Edwin was also aware of this. Reading Nox's every move, the prince pressured his opponent with a super speed attack. After all, Blink wasn't an invincible move. It required some time to cast the magic, and since Nox had already used up his memorize spell, he had to use a low-level magic to block Edwin's thunder cannon. Edwin believed he had forced his opponent to the wall. He was certain Nox had made a hasty mistake, which would lead him to his loss. Nevertheless, Edwin refused to lower his guard. He knew he had the upper hand in this duel but kept himself from underestimating his opponent. And as he prepared his next attack, an unbelievable sight unfolded before his eyes. Fire cannon. Whoosh. Crowhair. Nox manifested another level 5 circle magic. Edwin was stunned as he watched the flames fiercely clash against his electric magic. Just how did he? Did he use memorize again? Edwin couldn't believe his eyes. However, he was certain Nox didn't use memorize, observing how the crowd reacted. It didn't seem like he broke the rules. Then, it meant he had cast the spell during the brief moment, which was logically impossible. Edwin manifested his mana once again. Losing wasn't an option. The future of Hector was on the line. But before he could do anything, "This duel is already over," said Nox as he steadily approached the prince from his back. Not only did he sequentially cast 2 level 5 circle magic attacks, but he also had the time to use Blink to teleport behind Edwin. The prince was startled. He couldn't easily accept the reality. After all, he had devoted his life to enhancing his power through strenuous training at the Chonggong Magic Tower. Not once did he doubt he would lose against a mage on the same level. The outcome was just too overwhelming for him to grasp. Roman's calm voice echoed into his ears as Edwin gazed at Nox in bewilderment. "Your Highness, Dimitri has already begun applying the upper core into our magic," he said. The prince's face flushed red in disbelief. He was utterly shocked. To his surprise, the novel idea he thought he had first developed was already being applied and set in Dimitri. "So, let me ask you one more time. Do you still think I should make the hassle of explaining the secrets of the upper core to Hector?" asked Roman. Chapter 305. The Three Guests. Part 3. Roman Dimitri learned how Selphir used his mana during their past battle. The way he uses his magic is different from the low-level circle mages. He first uses his middle core to store his mana and explodes it in his upper core. Roman sensed something strange about how Selphir manifested his magic. An average mage typically established his circle in his heart, the middle core, and directly manifested their attacks by bursting the mana within. However, the way Selphir cast his spells differed from others. When his mana manifested inside his heart and reached his upper core, it naturally fused with the natural force and generated tremendous power. Selphir's magic enlightened Roman to consider a new approach. Instead of rejecting the Shadows method because it differed from the norm, he pondered why Selphir used it. Selphir is a level 8 circle mage. The world has always known that reaching a level 8 circle isn't impossible, yet Selphir is the only mage who proved it possible. What if other mages had the potential to reach level 8 but couldn't because they failed to meet the requirements? What if they already had the potential to develop their 8th circle but couldn't because they didn't know how to make use of their upper core? Roman developed a hypothesis. Nothing was certain, but at least he believed the upper core was the key to establishing the 8th circle. If he could only prove his hypothesis right, the upper core would undoubtedly stir another revolution in the magic industry. High-level mages who master the upper core would inevitably learn to establish the eighth circle, and those of lower level would most likely become stronger than they were now. Roman believed it was worth the effort to test his hypothesis. Unlike the people of Salamander, who had zero knowledge about the core, the people of Murim had already learned to divide the core into 3 parts and mastered them after generations of trial and error. The divine art of yin and yang was the key to training one's upper core. Jung-Heek Baek had invented a new divine art of yin and yang using the Wudong sect's martial art as the basis back when he was studying the various martial arts of Murim. The divine art of yin and yang was a unique technique to train one's mind. Mastering the technique helped enhance one's brain to go beyond human limits. However, it wasn't a helpful method for those who had to train their lower cores, like in the case of martial artists, since the divine art would open the upper core, forcing all the mana to escape one's body through the top of the head. But if training the upper core was the key to establishing the eighth circle, the divine art of yin and yang was the best chance the mages had. Thus, Roman met with Felix right after he returned to Dmitri after the war. He told the mage his thoughts and taught the divine art. And a few days later, Felix came to see Roman with a surprised look. "My lord, just what is this technique you taught me?" It became certain. The divine art of yin and yang would undoubtedly stir a new revolution among the mages. The mages of Phoenix succeeded in utilizing their upper cores when casting their magic after a month-long training. Though they couldn't say their method was perfect, the divine art of yin and yang clearly showed positive results in training the upper core. Nox was the perfect example to prove their success. His magic generated a more potent destructive force than before as his mana traveled from his heart to the upper core. Furthermore, the time required for him to cast his spell dramatically decreased thanks to the development of his brain. No wonder Edwin Hector assumed Nox used Memorize to cast his spell. The time Nox needed to cast Fire Cannon was unbelievably short. No one of the same level could defeat Nox, who could now launch his magic attacks 2 to 3 times faster than before. Edwin's loss was a foregone conclusion. Never in his wildest dream did Edwin think the magic revolution was already upon him. "So, let me ask you one more time. Do you still think I should make the hassle of explaining the secrets of the upper core to Hector?" asked Roman. Edwin felt utterly helpless at Roman's blunt refusal to share his knowledge. As Roman stated, Dmitri had no reason to share the secrets of the upper core with him. Although Roman had shared the concept of the core with the world through the swordsmanship demonstration, that didn't mean he was a fool who would unconditionally open up all his secrets. The swordsmanship demonstration served a clear purpose. Roman intended to strip Alexander's reputation by redefining the aura right after Dmitri defeated Kronos in a war. And as he expected, the event had an immense impact. Unfortunately, there wasn't much other nations could achieve even after learning the concept of the core. Yet, Roman had skillfully used his knowledge to lay the foundation for Dmitri to rise as an empire. However, revealing the secrets of the upper core was another issue. There wasn't much he could gain by sharing the knowledge, even with his allies. After all, he could always use the secret as bait to lure all the magic towers to relocate to Dmitri and unite them to build an invincible army of mages. So why would Roman share such valuable knowledge with Hector and the Chonggong magic tower? One revolution was enough. He didn't need another revolution to promote his reputation and legacy further. On the other hand, Edwin Hector felt bitter. He couldn't think of any more reason to convince Roman. To my dismay, Phoenix has already begun its studies to utilize the upper core and established a system to apply its secrets. Honestly, Hector might have a chance also to learn the secrets if we wait as Phoenix develops its system as the front-runner. However, if the war against Hector were to occur before the opportunity came, Hector would inevitably remain a bystander again, unable to do a thing as history repeats itself. Edwin Hector never desired to remain a bystander. But he had no better choice since he lacked power. All he could do was stand and watch as his people were sacrificed in vain. The prince clenched his fist, making up his mind. Edwin was a reasonable person who usually would refuse to appeal to emotions. However, he couldn't just leave. He had to reach for his only hope, even if it meant stooping down so low and begging for Roman's help. However, the moment he was about to bow his head before Roman, the young Dmitri took the initiative. As I said, Dmitri has no reason to share the secret of the upper core with you but one. If Hector Kingdom vows to serve Dmitri as a vassal state and acknowledges us as the dominant power, I promise to protect Hector's future and freedom, Roman said. Edwin raised his startled face at Roman's words. Roman had recognized Edwin's potential and talents ever since he encountered the prince on the south battlefield. Though he was the first enemy he defeated, he knew the prince deserved his praise. The way he pushed forward with his plans, ambushed the enemies off guard, and adeptly used his magic was indeed remarkable. He would have undoubtedly made an unprecedented legacy if only he were born in one of the empires. Plus, the way he carried out his duel against Knox was beyond stunning. It was true that Edwin Hector faced a helpless defeat. But the prince had proved his worth by perfectly responding to Knox's attack even after losing the moment to his opponent. Edwin Hector was a leader who would willingly stand in the forefront in battle and risk his life, standing alongside the soldiers. There was a reason he was adept at using the skills of the war mages. After all, he had spent years struggling with his soldiers in countless battles. That was what Roman loved about the prince. So, he forged an alliance with his kingdom. Magic and swordsmanship are two separate things. I would be able to handle everything regarding swordsmanship, but it would be sheer arrogance for me to try to run a field I'm not aware of. Like all humans, I can't be perfect. But if I lack something, all I need to do is recruit those who can supplement the areas I lack. They will be the ones to lead Dmitri in the right direction. Junghik Bek's strength didn't only come from his formidable power but from his sense of humbleness to accept people to fill in the areas he lacked. Like how he accepted the monstrous demon to complement his uncompromising political skill, he also took Count Fabius, the famous turncoat, to become his loyal servant. The same went for Edwin Hector. Though Roman had Phoenix to help him in his magic studies, the field was too vast for the mages of Phoenix to cover alone. Thus, Roman needed more talents, a reliable person he could trust to help Felix actively stir the magic revolution with the divine art of yin and yang. Edwin Hector was the man he was looking for. The prince was like a beautiful diamond in the rough yet to be polished. The prince gazed at Roman with troubled eyes, hesitant to reply. Choose now. If you vow to serve Dmitri right here, I will promise you a new and bright future in return, said Roman. A pledge to become Dmitri's vassal state. Edwin never expected things to turn out like this when he decided to visit Dmitri. In fact, he had never considered it, not even in his dreams. Becoming a vassal state was different from an alliance. While Dmitri and Hector were equal in an alliance, Edwin knew their relationship would completely change the moment he accepted Roman's proposal. Roman would inevitably become his lord and obtain the right to command him. Simply put, Roman was asking Hector Kingdom to become a loyal servant of Dmitri's dukedom. The prince was initially perplexed, but strangely enough, Roman's absurd request didn't hurt his feelings. What have I achieved so far in my entire life? Edwin questioned himself. Undoubtedly, he was the prince of Hector, whom his people looked up to. They believed he lived a life full of wealth and honor where servants loyally served him in the royal court. However, the life Edwin was living was quite different. The young prince had to burden many things since childhood to gain the reputation of the Star of Hector. Not once did the prince live at ease. After all, Hector Kingdom was never a good kingdom to live in, even before Kronos' scheme impacted its lands. Edwin Hector always had to fill in his father's shoes. Every day of his life was filled with documents to sign, and he had to practice his magic whenever he had time for the sake of his reputation. And now here he was before Roman Dmitri to seek help in getting his revenge on Kronos. I never had the luxury to have a dream born as the Prince of Hector. I won't lie. There was a time when I thought my life was unfair, but whether I like it or not, I have become the symbol of peace and stability in my kingdom. That alone is more than enough. Wealth and prosperity were and will never be my priority. All I desire as the leader of my kingdom is to free Hector from Kronos' wrath and restore peace for my people. Edwin had lived such a sorrowful life. He had become a person who could no longer live for his own sake. Thus, he had no reason not to pledge loyalty to Roman. Hector didn't desire tremendous power, after all. Its objective differed greatly from the grand ambitions of Kronos and Valhalla, who were eager to devour the continent. All the kingdom desired was peace, a world where its citizens could wake up every morning without concern and live without hunger. Hector didn't have even the slightest intention to challenge the powerful in the first place. As long as the powerful states didn't encroach on Hector's lands, they had no intention of disturbing their supremacy. Their objectives were utterly different. But now Edwin Hector saw the bigger picture. He saw himself standing next to Roman Dmitri after conquering the continent. "I sure look happy. At least the Dmitri I know won't force us to sacrifice my people's happiness for the sake of its ambition." The Prince of Hector had also heard the rumors that Dmitri introduced a new compensation system to reward those who devoted meritorious service after Hendron's death. He saw how the people of Hector showed pure admiration as they praised Dmitri. People flooded the streets to talk about how happy they would be if they had lived under the protection of Dmitri and in a country that had the power and wealth to honor its citizens. Perhaps from a certain point, Edwin could have grown fond of how Roman lived his life without even knowing it. He didn't seem bothered by Roman's proposal. Instead, he felt grateful that Roman acknowledged his worth and was willing to help him. Edwin began to dream of a future with Dmitri. Though it was now impossible for him to surpass Roman Dmitri, the prince was confident the people of Hector would live in peace if he accepted the proposal. "I vow to serve you." At first, Edwin said in a low voice. Then, he firmly repeated his words, gazing straight into Roman's eyes. "If you can promise Hector's future, I will gladly risk my life for your sake, Lord Roman." That day, Dmitri gained Hector kingdom. No, to be exact, it gained a valuable asset, Edwin Hector. It was a busy day for Roman. Though his morning meeting with Hoffman ended with burning his bridges with Golden Bank, he gained Hector kingdom and Edwin at lunchtime. The prince went on his knees as a sign of allegiance to Dmitri. While some still doubted Edwin's sincerity, Roman promised to provide the knowledge to master the divine art of yin and yang and financial aid to help restore peace in Hector. At first, Edwin was slightly startled by Roman's courtesy and trust. He wanted to ask Roman if he ever considered the possibility of his betrayal but chose not to, knowing that this was Roman's way of building trust with others. It was indeed Dmitri's way of winning people's hearts. Knowing that trust begot trust, Roman Dmitri first gave his sign of faith to establish a reliable relationship with his subordinates. He wasn't concerned about their betrayal because he knew people would eventually surrender to him, just like the spies. He didn't trust the people but himself and his competence. It wasn't arrogance or pride. Instead, it was confidence in himself. The sun was setting. As the streets steadily turned dark orange as the sun disappeared over the horizon, the third guest came to Dmitri without notice. The guest requested to meet Roman privately. And when the two finally met, the guest spoke up with a flushed face, losing his patience. "Don't get me wrong. I tried my best to wait patiently, worried I would appear rude. But I can no longer wait. How long must I wait to see your new sword?" It was Marquis Valentino. The great collector's patience had reached its limit.